We start with Decision 2022, the three-way Democratic primary for governor. Secretary of State Katie Hobbs has been dogged by her role in the firing of an African-American staffer several years ago. The staffer's court case has cost taxpayers more than $750,000. Business consultant Marco Lopez has been linked to a 10-year-old bribery scheme in Mexico. He denies any wrongdoing. The third candidate is former state lawmaker and entrepreneur Aaron Lieberman. Aaron Lieberman joins us this morning. Welcome to Square Off.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Can you do a concise compare-contrast of what you bring to this campaign versus your two opponents?
Yeah, look, the most important thing for Democrats is the ability to win in November. And the truth of the matter is, for a Democrat to win statewide in Arizona, you have to run a near perfect race. I've spent my career as a business builder, as a job creator, focused on helping provide early childhood education to nearly 1 million low-income kids. In the legislature, I worked with Republicans to get things done. Both of those things, combined with all the stuff you talked about in terms of what my opponents are dealing with, means I'm the Democrat that can win in November.
So you're an education entrepreneur going back, almost 20 years. You founded a company called Acelero Learning. It's a for-profit business that helps communities run the federal HeadStart programs. Help me understand, how does a for-profit business make money off HeadStart programs for low-income kids?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, the vast majority of Acelero's revenue is Head Start money, and you can't make a profit on that. Every dollar we get from the federal government, we have to spend on providing high quality care for children and families. If we provide additional services like wraparound or extended day care, you're able to make a little bit of money on that. But what Acelero has really spent the last 15 years doing is taking our tools, our approaches, the things that we figured out, which we now have shown consistently help kids make gains at about 2.5 times the national average. And we help other Head Start providers all across the United States and in Puerto Rico implement those tools and that curriculum and those approaches.
Okay, you served 3 years in the legislature. In your resignation letter, you cited, quote, your success in helping move forward important policy priorities. I think you just referred to that a minute ago. Can you check off 2 or 3 of those priorities that move forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, one of the things I'm proudest of was I worked very closely with Superintendent Hoffman's office. I worked closely with the governor's office and the Helios Foundation. They put together a $7.5 million fund at the height of the pandemic so that every public school in the state of Arizona that wanted to could get digital professional development for their teachers to figure out how to be the most effective online instructors they can be. I helped work behind the scenes to put all of that together and was very proud of that. I most recently worked closely with the governor's office to get what turned into $15 million in small business relief for businesses that have been impacted by COVID floods or fires. It was a bill that I sponsored that was moving through the legislature when the governor's office reached out and said, hey, we can do this with our rescue plan funds. Let's work together to make it happen. And finally, in that last budget, in terms of preschool funding, for the first time ever, I helped get funding allocated by the legislature to First Things First, our early childhood program. We ended up getting over $70 million to improve quality of early childhood programs all throughout the state. And every single one of those things happened because of my ability to work with others to get things done.
What does that mean, your ability? Did you sponsor any bills? What happened?
Absolutely. The COVID relief bill was sponsored. It was nearly unanimous out of the House, was moving through the Senate when the governor's office reached out and said, hey, let's work together and fast track this. We don't need legislature to do it. I was successful in getting things many times voted out of the House. We had one bill signed into law by the governor. And as a Democrat, that's not easy. I think my first legislative session, the governor signed something like 315 bills. I think 6 of them were prime sponsored by Democrats. So in a system in which Democrats often don't have much of a voice or much of an ability to get things done, I'm really proud of what I was able to make happen down there.
And I do want to point this out. In that same Broomhead interview, you were trying to show your appeal beyond Democratic voters. You said, quote, I was the first Democrat to ever get elected in North Phoenix's LD 28. Is that accurate?
No, I'm sorry, Bram. I was the first Democrat to ever win my state house seat. I was in the second state house seat. There had never been a Democrat that had won that second state house seat. We've had 2 great Democrats, Eric Meyer and Kelly Butler, who served. Kelly served alongside me. Eric served before me from LD 28. But that was in, I don't know how you count it, but essentially the first state house seat. I was in a second state house seat that had only ever been held by a Republican.
Okay, but Eric Meyer and Kelly Butler both won elections in LD 28 several years before you did, correct?
Absolutely. I was clear. If you look at the state house seat that I won, I was the first Democrat to ever win that state house seat.
A second seat. All right. Let's talk about specific issues. Education. You've cited low teacher pay as a major hurdle to Arizona school success. What is your plan for a sustainable revenue stream to support higher teacher pay?
This is the thing that is so frustrating about where we are in our state politics right now. We are generating close to a $2 billion ongoing return surplus on top of the $1 billion that we have in the rainy day fund. My proposal is really simple. Let's use that money to fix what most Arizonans think are our biggest problems, our underfunded schools. We can get teacher pay to 25th in the United States from 49th where we are today. Sometimes it looks like 50th, depending on if you include cost of living. We can go from the bottom to 25th, and that will be about a $10,000 raise per teacher per year on average. Right now, our average teacher pay, not starting, our average teacher pay is $47,000 a year. This will get us to $57,000 a year, and we can do it out of the revenue the general fund is bringing in right now. We don't need to raise anybody's taxes one penny.
Do you support repealing Governor Ducey's tax cut for higher income taxpayers?
I support I don't know what you're talking about in terms of Governor Ducey's proposal. On a straight
It's
party
the
line
plan.
vote, the legislature did send, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, the tax cut that was passed last year and that has now been hung up in the courts. Governor Ducey's tax cut approved by the legislature.
Yeah, I don't support. I voted against it when I was in the legislature. It was a straight party line vote. That's now been referred to the voters, and I think we need to go back to where we were. We had a 4.5% top tax rate. At that rate, we were generating today over a $2 billion surplus. I think we can use that money to invest in things like pre-K for every 4-year-old, teacher pay, greater support for our students to go to community college and beyond, and that we don't need to raise taxes beyond that. We just got to stop cutting our state revenue and start investing in the things that make Arizonans more successful.
I want to end with shoring up Arizona's water supply. It's going to be at the top of the agenda for whoever is governor. Tell us how dire the situation is, or not, and how you would respond as governor.
Yeah, great question. And this is a real source of concern for Arizonans right now. First things first, we got to understand one of our biggest problems that we have in Arizona right now in terms of water is our unregulated groundwater pumping in our rural areas. We only actively manage about 5 areas of the state where most of the people are, and we have no idea what's happening in some of these rural counties. And it's a source of concern, not the least of which for the county supervisors and others in those counties. I think we need to give more flexibility to county supervisors to look at and meter wells if they need to understand what's happening. The truth of the matter is we use less water in Arizona today than we did in the 1960s. When we convert agricultural land to residential use, we decrease the water usage, but we've got to make sure we're paying attention to what's happening all across the state. Second,
How serious is this problem?
Look, it's really serious for agricultural providers right now. They're the first in line to get cuts coming off of the Colorado River. And it will be increasingly serious in terms of sustaining our future housing development. And the truth of the matter is, if you look back over the last 50 years of Arizona history, we've made more progress on coming up with long-term water solutions with Democratic governors because we're willing to get all of the stakeholders in a room. We're willing to broker a compromise and recognize not everyone's going to get what they want. That's what I'll do. That's what Bruce Babbitt did. That's what Janet Napolitano did. And that's what I'll do as our next governor.
And I have to end it there. Aaron Lieberman, thanks very much for joining us.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Bram.